Hey everyone, it's Andy Mack from Akai Pro. I'm down at AMS today and we're going to be going through the brand new MPC Live III. Now, MPC Live III really does take production to a whole new level. We've added so many incredible features that we're going to go through today. The first thing that we've done with the brand new Live III is we've added MPCe expressive pads. This means that you can morph between samples, you can glide between filters, and you can use the pads with 4 quadrants, which means that you can actually take 16 pads and turn them into 64. So let me show you some of the real cool things that the MPCe pads can do. You can see that I'm sliding up the pad, opening in a filter. So this is amazing for live. Now, also what we can do, think of a real drum acoustic. Now, when you play a snare, you play the snare in the middle, but also on the edges of a snare drum are the rim shots. So there's our snare. Then we have rims on the side. Now, also using the quadrants means that we can actually put 4 samples on one single pad. So you don't start filling up the pads and you can add more samples for your layout. As an example, I've got 4 toms on that pad, and then same as an open hi-hat, open and closed on one single pad. And then we have percussion. So again, we're using one single pad to create all these different kind of dynamics. So when we bring all those together, let me show you what you can do. And that's just using the 8 lower pads, just by populating using quadrants and using the crossfades. So for drum loops, we can do this. And I'm sliding across the filter. So you can do some really cool stuff by utilizing individual one-shot notes and chords and blending them in with vocal chops and then sliding across your loops, opening up the filter. And again, this is all brand new technology that pushes the boundaries of what you can do with drum kits. So I'm going to show you some other things that we can do with the MPCe pads. So we can actually glide and morph between samples as well in different layers. So as an example, I've got a pad, slide up and slide down, and we can blend this in with our loop. So you're feeling the performance because you're adding expression to your sounds. We can also add everything from pitch to modulation to the pads as well. Which is amazing for sound design. Now, turning the pads from 16 to 64 is also super easy. So on this particular kit, I've got 4 different kicks, different snares, different hats, different chop, different pianos. So you can do all of these different types of samples just by using the pads as 64. So you can really customize your own kits. Now, the next big feature that we've added to the MPC Live III is a step sequencer. Now, the step sequencer really does give you so many possibilities of programming. So for electronic-based music, this is a real game changer for the platform because it really allows you to take that kind of classic TR style of sequencing by entering the notes, but also for like modern producers as well, who use a lot of step sequencing approach with hi-hats and rolls and pitching. We can do all of that as well. So let me show you some examples. So I've got my kick here, so I'm just going to drop a kick in. Now, what I'm going to show you now is, now that I've quickly put my hats down, we can actually go into step edit and we can actually parameter lock all different types of features to each step. So I'm going to use ratchet, and what I'm going to start adding that you're going to hear, I'm going to start adding triplet rolls and pitch shifting on different hi-hats instantly without having to, program it on a drum grid. So let me show you how easy this is. So now that we've laid our beat down, what I can now do is use the step sequencer and we can start adding some like bass sounds. And again, what we can do, we can use the same approach where we're using pitch to create different types of sounds. Let's put that down. We'll put some random notes in, see where it takes us. And then we can start adding melody over the top. Now, another thing that we've added to MPC Live III is a touch strip. So touch strip allows us to add dynamic performance over your beat. So as an example, this quick beat that we've made here, what I can now do is I can affect my sounds, I can affect the entire beat, but you can also use the touch strip for all kinds of different things. So for example, I have a sound here, I could hold the touch strip down and it brings up a whole bunch of different options. So I could use pitch bend, so now I can, so you can play it more like a synth if you're tied to using the pads. So that creates a really nice dynamic for when you're doing performances. So I'm going to put it into touch strip mode, which is here. And now we can add this over our beat. Now I can also use the step sequencer, all of these function buttons for controlling everything from track mutes through to live effects. If I hold down the set button, I can now go into, say, track mute. So what this means is, instead of me jumping out of the screen, I can focus my performance on the pads, but I can still mute all of my tracks. So we can go. Now, if I flip it to effects, what I've done is I've used these step sequencer function buttons to control some of my plugins like flex beat, etc. And I can activate these live without having to go through different pages. And again, this is a real advantage when you've created a track or you're in the studio and you want to add a new level to your performance. So check this out. So that's the step sequencer. We've also added a built-in microphone. So the great thing about having the microphone, like the MPC had the speaker, so we had a full monitor on here, so it makes it very portable. But adding the speaker means that you can capture vocal ideas, you can do sound design, and even record instruments straight using the microphone. So it makes it super convenient. And the fact that you've got up to 16 audio tracks now, so you can capture things on the fly, you can sample direct into the microphone, and then start building up all of your own different types of sounds. And the fact that MPC Live III is so portable and it's battery powered, there is really no limitations of what you can do by taking the Live III anywhere you want and producing a whole complete album. So one of the biggest features on the MPC Live III is the 8-core processor and the 8 gigabytes of RAM. This really takes production to a whole new level. So that means that we can run up to 32 plugin instances of your favorite instruments, all fully standalone. And also with the 8-core processor and the 8 gigabytes of RAM, we can actually do pro level stem separation. So it's desktop quality, which means that you can sample from vinyl, chop up all of your old beats, and then extract all of the parts, all fully standalone. So some of the brand new effects that we've added as well. So we've got a pro reverb in here now, which allows you to do really fine-tune editing. So we have mains, so we've got pre-delay, decay, balance, mix. We can go into early reflection, tails, and there's also an EQ and dynamic section on there. And we've added a visual EQ. So I know this was a huge request from the communities. So now you've got a visual EQ and also a utilities plugin, which is really useful if you're gain staging. You want to turn a track from stereo to mono, and this allows you to really kind of craft into the mixing aspect of what you want to do with MPC. Another feature that we've added on Live 3 is clip launching, which allows us to trigger loops, capture loops, and record things in a matrix. So this means that I can come up with different ideas and different takes, and it's perfect for constructing your live performances. Or if you're in a studio and you're using external equipment and you want to do different takes and different ideas, you can keep recording them into containers. So as an example, I've got a track here. So I'm playing the intro. Jump to the next section. Bring everything in. So it's really easy to perform, especially if you're a vocalist and you want to go through different songs live. It's the perfect workflow. But also using the function buttons for live effects, this also allows us to trigger effects while the clips are playing. As an example. So clip launch is a very, very powerful workflow on MPC Live III. Along with pro stem separation, we've also added super time stretching. So we have a brand new algorithm that offers high quality time stretching. So you can pitch shift all of your vocals through to your loops, through to so by the time you stem something out, you can really manipulate the time and the pitch of samples. And this is all inside the MPC Live III. So let's talk about the I/O. Now, what you've noticed, we've now added combo XLR and line level. So you can now plug in everything from your condenser to dynamic microphone straight in for high-end vocals. So if you're using anything like Neumann's or whatever, channel strips, you can go straight into the XLRs. We have 6 outputs as well. We have our MIDI. We have 8 CV gate. So again, using stuff like the clip launching, when you're using external synths and modular, you can really take advantage of capturing a lot of your productions in real time. And then we have USB, so you can connect all of your thumb drives and everything. But one of the major changes is USB-C. Now, this really does change everything to do with I/O on the Live 3. So the first thing is we can plug in an iPhone and we can instantly bring our iPhone straight into Live 3 just with one cable. So you can sample from, say, YouTube or wherever you want. So if you want to find some old type of records that have been put on YouTube, you can literally sample straight from it now. You can connect iOS devices like iPad apps, and then you can basically MIDI them, and all of the audio will come through the iPad straight into the Live 3. So that really gives you a lot of flexibility. You can also track out via USB-C up to 24 channels of audio. So let's just say, for example, you finish your beat and you want to track it into Logic or Pro Tools, whatever. You can actually just go into your audio I/O, and instead of using the separate outputs, you have all of your USB connections now. So up to 24 channels. That makes it so easy to take your beats and then track them into the DAW. Also with the USB-C, we've got bidirectional MIDI. So we have 32 channels of MIDI. So that means that I can actually connect MIDI devices from my computer, and I could use my laptop as a sound module, and I can sequence all of the MIDI purely standalone on the MPC. So it gives me so much more flexibility of what I want to do using MIDI together with audio, sequencing, arranging your songs, all directly on the Live 3. So now that we've walked through some of the key features of the MPC Live 3, let me show you how we can make some beats from scratch. So I'm going to start with like a hip hop R&B joint, and I'll show you some of the features of how easy it is to glide through putting a track down. So first thing we're going to do is, I've got a really cool loop here that's got some expression on the loop. So I'm going to put that down as my basis. So now we've got our loop. Now, another thing I'm going to show you with these Expressive pads is the classic MPC note repeat. There's a couple of ways that we can do that. We can use it with the touch strip. I can hold down note repeat. But we've got articulations that we can put onto each corner of the pads, which means I can set up different note repeats, so I can do that all from one pad. And this really allows you to kind of get into the groove. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find a kind of a pattern, and then I'm going to record that down. So let's just play it. So let's lay that down. Now we're going to add some like percussion elements over the top. Now with our hi-hats, remember, we could still go to our step sequencer and we can still start adding notes in to add some differences. Now that we've got the foundation of our beat, let's add some instruments over the top. Now, obviously with the 8-core processor and the 8 gigabytes of RAM, we can run up to 32 plugin instances. So let me show you how fast it is now to breeze through sounds using the Live 3. So I go to New, we go to Plugins, and what it's going to do now is just loaded up Analog Dreams. I can go into the UI, and now we can kind of go through some of the presets, find some sounds that are going to work really nice over this. And obviously I'm using the pad performance mode so I can keep everything in key. So I've got a bunch of sounds already. So we're going to start off with, actually I'm going to start with bass first. So we're going to bring our bass down. So let's put that down. Now we can see all of our notes by using the touchscreen as well. So one thing about MPC Live III, you've got a full 7-inch touchscreen that allows us to kind of move in, and it's multi-touch as well. So we can do all of our editing directly on the screen. So now that I've done the bass, we're going to fly to next track. So I'm going to use Cloud Supply. And really, we're just going to find a melody that fits over the top of this. And then for our last track, we're going to find some kind of pluck sound just to add some kind of like sizzle over the top. So something that's quite kind of high pitch. So now what we can do, now that we've got our track laid out, we can duplicate this. So I'm just going to double it to 8 bars, and then we're going to double it again to 16. So now that we've got our beat, we've added a number of tracks, we've used a lot of the features on the MPC pads. What I can now do is use our step sequence of function buttons to add those live effects over the top. And then, you know, then you can turn it into a full arrangement. So very, very powerful, and this is all completely standalone. And then also I've got the Moog Messenger coming in on an audio track, so I could actually capture that in real time as well to do some synth licks over the top. Now for electronic music production, MPC Live III really does enhance everything that you can do, especially integrating the Expressive pads and the step sequencer. So I'm going to make a quick track. It's going to be a few bars long, and I'll show you some of the really cool things that you can do using the step sequencer to be a real, like giving you real creative ideas. And we're going to blend that in with some of the onboard synths. So we're going to go to a kit, and we are going to lay down just some simple fall to the floors. So we go to set, and now I'm in my step sequencer. So I'm just going to draw these in real quick. And I can get my step sequencer to follow the bars. There we go. So let's add some hi-hats. We're going to put some melodies down over the top. So let's put some kind of ambient textures over this. So now we're going to find a bass sound. So what I'm going to do, we can actually kind of use an arpeggiator on this. So hold down Shift, note repeat, put on an arpeggiator. Kind of feels good. Record that down. can also do, along with the live effects and the touch strip, we can use cue links to control the parameters of the synth. So let me just solo this for a second. We can change that sound. We can transpose this up. Bring it in. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my track mutes. So on here we can go track mute. So now I can actually start controlling. So that's how easy you can create some electronic style vibes just by using the onboard sequencer and using some of the built-in synths with cue links and the touch strip. And you can also use all of the CV gate, all of the MIDI to drive all of your external synths as well and bring them all into the performance. So next we're going to take a look at some of the sampling of actually taking a guitar, recording some parts in, we're going to chop them up, make some hip hop beats, and gives you a really good overview of the power of the MPC Live III. So now in this section of the video, I've got Jake here from AMS, and he's going to be playing some bass and some chords. And what we're going to do, I'm going to make a quick beat, and then we're going to sample some kind of like bass one shots, and then we're going to kind of chop them up on the samples, and then he's going to kind of jam along, and I'm going to record some of what he's doing as audio tracks. So you good with that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to lay down the beat, just going to do a few bars. So now I've got an empty pad here. So I'm going to go into, select that pad. We're going to go sample. So as soon as you're ready, Jake, do you want to play along? Just find a groove. And the bass is coming straight in. So there we go. So I've got the first sample. We'll play it back. So I'm going to edit this now. We're going to normalize sample. Sounds great. And now I can add some. I'll add some hip hop stabs to this. So there we go. So I'll open up an audio track now. So we go audio track. I'm going to set my input. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to an audio track. Jake's going to kind of play some chords over the top. So let's go to audio track. Here we go, where we've got our input coming through. So if you want to play that for a sec, Jake. There we go, our input's coming through. So there's our part. And now what we can do, we can add some live effects over the top. And then what we can do now is Jake can play along and then we can bring the Moog in, play some synth lines over the top. We've got the Moog coming in on track 8. So as you can see in today's video, the MPC Live III is a real powerhouse when it comes to music production, through to live performance, capturing vocals, through to instrumentation, to plugging in your synths. And this is fully standalone. And the most amazing thing about the Live III is that it's fully portable, battery powered, speakers, microphone, so you can make music anywhere. So thanks for watching this overview. I'm Dan at AMS, and if you want to learn more about the MPC Live III or any Akai products, head over to americanmusical.com.
Good
Go
stuff.
on, man.